is the Fox 7 News Edge at noon.
Good afternoon. 3 people are hurt following a house explosion this morning in southeast Texas. It happened in Dobbin. It's about 50 miles northwest of Houston. Officials say that a house went up in flames after that explosion. 3 people were hurt, including a baby. No word on their condition. Authorities are investigating the cause right now. A hearing for accused Fort Hood shooter Major Nidal Hassan starts in less than an hour. A military judge will be deciding today whether to give him more time to prepare his defense. Military Judge Colonel Tara Osborne is also expected to talk about his defense of others strategy. He must prove that the shootings were necessary to protect others from harm or death. Hassan told the judge that deploying U.S. troops posed a threat to Taliban leaders in Afghanistan. Doctors say that his medical problems could also slow down the trial. He is paralyzed from the waist down after being shot by police. He does have nerve damage, making it tough for him to write or type. He is charged with 13 counts of premeditated murder and 32 counts of attempted premeditated murder, and he could be sentenced to death or life in prison.
This is the Fox 7 News Edge at noon.
Good afternoon. A financial nightmare for those impacted by April's West plant explosion. FEMA is denying federal aid for the small North Texas town, which is trying to rebuild after numerous homes and schools were leveled by the blast. According to a letter obtained by the AP, FEMA says it reviewed the state's appeal for the funds to help West. However, officials say the blast doesn't warrant a major disaster declaration. West mayor says the money is needed to cover $57 million in damage, including $40 million to rebuild a destroyed school. Of course, we'll bring you more on this developing story coming up today at 5. Colorado's Black Forest fire continues to burn out of control as it burns thousands of acres and affects thousands of people in the area. Firefighters are still battling these large flames in record-breaking heat. Officials are saying the fire has burned about 8,000 acres with no containment at this point. Helicopters and military planes are joining the firefighting efforts, and evacuations have been ordered for about 2,000 homes. That spans about 55 miles of the area. El Paso County authorities are saying about 40 to 60 structures have already been destroyed in that fire. The family of Byron Carter Jr. is upset with the verdict from a federal jury. That jury found that the APD officer who shot him did not use excessive force back in May 2011. Officers Nathan Wagner and Jeffrey Rodriguez were looking for car thieves on that day, and that's when they suspected Carter and his friend Lee Webb of casing vehicles along the interstate. When officers approached the car that they were in, Webb slammed on the gas, hitting Rodriguez. Wagner opened fire, fearing for his life and that of his partners. He hit Carter 4 times, killing him. The Carter family sued the officer for use of excessive force.
As long as you're black, you're wrong. So it was very political, it was very racial, and it was not fair. It was just, it's just no justice at all.
And no matter what their decision is today, in our mind, his death was unjustifiable.
It was clear from the evidence, including the evidence of the driver, Leumba Webb, that he drove directly at these officers, accelerated his car, and struck Officer Rodriguez. That was clear. And once that's clear, Officer Wagner is put in a position of having to use deadly force.
Wagner is still at APD. The group Peaceful Streets has vowed to follow him until he's fired. APD is expected to address the issue later on today. A jury will decide if there are grounds to remove Travis County DA Rosemary Lemberg from office. She was arrested for drunk driving in April after a witness called 911. They said that they saw her swerving her car. Blood tests show that she had nearly 3 times the legal limit in her system. Several local attorneys have filed petitions for her removal. Lemberg's attorneys say that they are prepared to defend her.
Our position in the case is Ms. Lemberg has served this county, 30, 40 years, something like that, in various prosecutorial roles. And the idea that one incident, one mistake is enough to take her out and get rid of all the good things that she has done is absurd.
Another removal petition has been filed on grounds of official misconduct. Lemberg was sentenced to 45 days in jail, but she was released early for good behavior. The jury trial on her removal is set for July 22nd. The man accused of holding 3 women captive in Ohio for a decade is pleading not guilty. Ariel Castro arrived for his arraignment today in Cleveland. He faces a number of charges, including kidnapping and hundreds of counts of rape. Castro's attorney waived the reading of his client's arraignment rights as well as the indictments, and then he issued a not guilty plea. The first pretrial hearing is set for June 19th. If he is convicted, he could face the death penalty. A Texas physician was arrested after allegedly poisoning her colleague. It was a doctor she was dating. This is Dr. Ana Maria Gonzalez mugshot after she was arrested and accused of poisoning Dr. George Blumenshine. The two reportedly had a casual sexual relationship. Investigators say that Gonzalez's townhome, she gave Blumenshine 2 cups of coffee laced with ethylene glycol. It's a toxic, colorless, odorless, sweet-tasting chemical used in antifreeze. According to the investigators, ethylene glycol is available in all labs at MD Anderson, where she worked. She is now out of jail on $50,000 bond. Blumenshine survived the attack, but is reportedly suffering from kidney ailments. A person was killed and 3 others hurt in a crash of a medical helicopter outside of a hospital. This is southeast in Oklahoma. Hospital spokeswoman says that the crash happened as the chopper was taken off last night. She also says one of the victims landed in critical condition, but it's unclear what their current condition is. Brady, thank you. Have you ever been bitten by a dog? You know, the CDC says every year about 4.5 million Americans are bitten by a dog. So how do you know if that dog looking at you is friendly or dangerous? Beth Galvin with the Fox Medical team is here to help us understand a dog's body language. I would assume that some of the stuff is obvious. If the dog is growling, showing its teeth, you might want to stay away.
Yeah. Good morning, Catherine. Yes. And, you know, the incredible thing is that dogs are sort of like a billboard. They can't talk to us, but they are sending messages left and right, and just the way they hold their head and the way that they stand and hold their bodies. So we just have to tune in and pay attention to those before we reach in and go for the pet.
Sure.
Catherine?
You know, sometimes when I'm walking by strange dogs, I just don't make eye contact. Is that what they say? Is that a good thing?
It is a good thing. When you look at dogs who are together, they rarely ever make direct eye contact and hold eye contact. And that's because in the dog world, eye contact is kind of a challenge. It's sort of like a look like, come on.
Yeah.
That's what direct eye contact says to another dog. And the dog can read that from you. So I think the best thing to do is if you see a dog that you don't know, you know, pay attention to it, look at it, keep an eye on it, but don't look directly at it, and don't, you know, stare at the dog, because the dog may perceive you as a threat. Catherine?
Yeah. And obviously, if your gut is telling you something, it might be right. I know I had an experience with a
Yes.
dog that was following me, and he wouldn't back away, and I just walked back home. It made me scared.
I think you did the perfect thing. I think if you see a dog that you don't know and it's approaching you, you don't want to turn and run. A lot of people get scared. That might just bring the dog, you know, running after you. But I think if you turn around, keep an eye on the dog, keep one close eye on the dog, and walk away, most of those dogs are going to back down. They're not going to continue that contact any further. A few dogs might be a little bit more dangerous.
Now, do
Catherine?
we know the CDC report, you know, we talk about 4.5 million Americans bitten by a dog. Is that in the, I guess, aggressive nature? Did it look at that, or was it just like playful bites?
No, it didn't really look at it. It just looked at, it actually said 4.7 million Americans get bitten every year. But what's interesting about this is many of these bites are not the stranger dog that's following you home to your house. Okay. Many of these bites are happening with your pets, or they're happening with the pets of a friend or somebody that you know. You may have children at another house where there's a dog they don't really know. So it's really important as adults to keep children and dogs supervised together, especially very young children. Unless you know that dog and you've had that dog, don't have that dog around the child unless you are directly there keeping an eye on it, because that can be a recipe for a very serious problem. Catherine?
Absolutely, good advice. And Beth, quickly, we are all very excited to hear about the 10-year-old Philadelphia girl who got the lung transplant, and I guess it was a successful surgery.
Yes. Yes, it was. Sarah Mernigan got a double lung transplant yesterday. She has cystic fibrosis, and she had fought in the court system to have access, fair access, her parents said, to this lung transplant. She got it yesterday. It was about a 6-hour surgery, and her mother says she's now in intensive care at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and doing well.
That's
Catherine?
great. Beth Galvin live for us. Thank you so much. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
You can save your family money because you just want sleep, right?
That, you know, homemade card is nice.
I know.
Smile.
Nice.
Kids, just be good for one day.
Just don't
So
give
I
me
have
any
to come after you
grief.
and say, no, don't do that.
That's free.
Just let me relax a little bit.
All right. What if this is a crazy story?
No, I can't even believe
So a
it.
gal she just gave birth to, I think, her
Fifth baby.
Fifth baby.
Yep.
So, this is very typical, and you'll see this too. Like, you don't want to wear a lot of jewelry. Like, first of all, it doesn't fit anymore because you're so bloated. So she took off her wedding ring. She put it in a box. She forgot to tell her husband about that box.
Ooh, look at that ring.
He sells it like at the garage sale for $10. This ring is worth 23 grand.
Oh.
So now she's trying to put this out there and put it online and say, hey, if you bought this little wooden box, there's a nice little nugget in there. Will you please return it?
If you are putting that in a garage sale, you kind of open it and make sure. Unless it was in a hidden compartment.
It could have been. This is their 5th baby. I'm sure it's utter
Oh, yeah,
chaos in their
probably.
house. They probably have family members.
Can you imagine that? And you realize, it was in the wood box? You get a sick feeling in your
just get a
stomach.
pin in your stomach.
Insure your jewelry.
All right, so if you've seen this box, call the gal in
Oh my
California.
goodness, that is heartbreaking.
All right, so I guess this video is now just getting popular. It was uploaded a couple of years ago. Bride and groom
we're all about
zip lining into their reception.
Oh my goodness
So
gracious.
they're making quite the entrance. Here they come.
Oh, this guy's going too fast, going way too fast. And
Oh my goodness, her legs.
and watch, he pretends, that was planned.
goodness.
It's all right. It's all good. See, we're okay.
That's
And
hilarious.
That's pretty good, though.
I don't think
Looked like he was okay, though. He didn't hurt himself. I'm concerned about
Did
that.
she get hurt? Look.
Can you imagine what he's thinking? I can't stop. Where are the brakes on this
Oh,
thing?
my
Oh
goodness.
boy, good start to the marriage.
Oh, jeez.
Or did they finish the wedding? That's the question.
No, that was into the reception.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
I thought
were
they
married.
That's
You know
how
how
they're
they-
walking in.
Remember,
That's
how did they
walk
announce you and Julie when you got married? Wasn't it like
in. Oh yeah.
wasn't it like a basketball game where wasn't
And
it-
now, walking in, Mr. and Mrs. Shields. Thank you.
We have a guest in the studio. Good
Hi.
morning, Josh.
Good morning.
Josh Wolf is with us.
Josh just told me he's so nervous.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous
Why are you
because
nervous?
You're all good.
I'm not nervous. I'm nervous because you still have AOL. Did you know that there's other things going on out there?
Catherine Kissel 1594.
Yeah, her username is incredible. I'm like, what?
I don't know how I memorized it, but that.
Is the AOL still coming through on your Dell computer? I know it is. I know it is.
Should I just excuse myself now?
All right, Catherine, see you later.
Yeah,
my
you go
gosh.
get in your Studebaker and you get out of here.
I still had that flip phone, by the way.
Do you have a flip phone?
No, we were cleaning out the house, and I found my flip phone. But,
I thought you were going to say 80s phone, one of those big ones.
Well, my husband
Those-
found one of those,
those are
too.
awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope they come back.
Those 80s phones were amazing. They were
Weren't they
my
great?
favorite when people used to put them on the table at dinner and you're like, well, that is pretty impressive.
You look important. You look
when
important.
You needed a purse and then you needed something to carry your phone in at the same time.
iPhone's about to make bigger phones, they said.
Well,
See?
the bigger screen, I think. It's,
Oh, okay.
5 inches.
yeah, bigger screen.
Not as big as the Zach Morris phone.
Anyway.
No, nothing is.
All right.
Everything
So if I
comes
get rid of
around.
my AOL account, I'll be okay?
Yeah, yeah.
You'll
We
be
can be
hip.
friends. We can be
Yes,
friends now.
absolutely. We'll be friends anyways. You are the third person that I know with an AOL account. You,
Third.
my wife, and
your
Chelsea
mother.
Handler.
Oh, Chelsea Handler too?
All still have AOL.
Because we're all about the same age, I would bet.
It's pretty amazing. All still.
You may have a point there.
Right? Isn't Chelsea, she's in her 40s, right?
No.
No?
Catherine's
30s?
not in her 40s either.
Yeah, you're not a 40.
I mean,
Oh my
See,
gosh.
they both stick up for you.
I'm blushing here.
Oh, no,
All right,
no.
are we going to get to some video?
Yeah.
Let's
let's
do
do
it.
it.
What are we talking about
All right.
here?
Josh is joining us for the buzz. Okay, why don't you just take a look at this traffic shot here? Uh-oh, somebody's driving backwards on the sidewalk.
You are
Are
kidding
you
me.
serious?
Yeah, this is actually a pretty sad story because
Somebody
this is
get hurt?
a 93-year-old woman.
Oh.
You know, it's just sad.
Well,
Uh-oh.
I don't think
What do
she's
you
going to be
think?
driving anymore.
there are a couple things. First of all, that's pretty impressive to fit down the sidewalk like that.
Yes, I mean, look how narrow
I don't think I could do that even if I tried.
Even in
At
reverse.
At that speed, in reverse, and not hit anything, pretty good.
Well, there you go. Maybe she won't have her license
But
revoked.
luckily, no one was hurt, though,
Well,
right?
the guide dog, do you see the dog?
Yeah.
Turned
guide
its
dog,
head and warned the person to get out of the way.
That's incredible.
But you know,
Oh, that's incredible.
once they hit a certain age, my grandma used to, she didn't let any of us drive with our grandfather. She would say, if we're going together. And I remember the last time we got in a car with my grandfather, last time we got in a car with my grandfather, My grandmother turned around in the back seat and she goes, "Need to buckle up." And she goes, "Use them all and hold on." And I was like, "Oh."
I think I went out.
Well, his theory was, you know those things in the middle of the road that go dun 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 dun.
Right.
That was to keep him on the road. Yes, yes.
So he said,
Driving by braille.
I would say, "Grandpa, you're not supposed to drive on those." He goes, "No, these are for me, just to remind me where I am." I'm like, "No, the street signs remind you where you are. These are kind of like borders. You're not supposed to drive on the other side of the border."
Well, that's a sensitive thing, though.
It
As
is.
you get, you don't really want to have that
know.
conversation like, "Hey, Grandpa, you really shouldn't be driving anymore." He's like, "What? You're going to take away my car."
But you don't want them to hurt anybody either.
You don't want
'cause
them to be driving like that.
Themselves.
I think it's completely okay to be honest. It's like being honest with I think people need to be more honest with their kids, and they need to be more honest with old people. It's time.
Yep.
Don't you?
Start a revolution.
Yeah, let's start a revolution. And wouldn't it be much happier if someone drove him around? Just to trick him into thinking you're a king.
Yeah.
You
There
sit in
you
the
go.
back seat.
You're a chaperone. You
Yes.
black town car.
Cold beverages in the bag.
We have some more video to show you. This
Okay.
is in Russia.
Okay.
So you
Oh,
never know
gosh.
what you're going to get. So here you go.
I'm going to try to keep this together here.
So the dog is helping the owner get through this flood here.
But take a close look. The dog is walking.
What is going
It's truly man's best
I
friend.
cannot even. He's pushing.
Is he on a bicycle?
I can't tell. Was it like
The
a...
dog is on its
He's
hind
on
legs,
his hind
and the
legs.
front paws are pushing the.
And he's pushing the wheelchair through
Yeah.
a flood.
Oh,
Okay, let me ask you a question. Just let's.
Why doesn't
Why
that
does the
person
guy
help?
in the car help him? They're
Yeah,
in a
no,
car
see, I've
floating
always
by. They
wondered
don't want to
that.
help the dog and the guy in the wheelchair.
I've always wondered that.
That is so
He's
true.
like,
Why
I
are
don't
they
need help.
shooting-
Get back.
I just saw some
I got
video
this.
of some guy in San Francisco, completely naked, he's in the transit, and he's just jumping all up and down, and people are just,
No.
why not tackle the
That's
guy and
right.
get this guy out? I don't
You
get
want to
it.
tackle a
instead
nude
they wanna
man?
shoot.
Well, I don't.
When you tackle a nude guy, there's a lot of moving parts that you probably want to
think
just
so?
stay away from. That's why my father used to say, if you ever see a nude man sprinting at you down the street, turn and run with him, because you don't want any part of that. So if there's a nude guy jumping around, my first instinct isn't tackle that guy. It's, you know what?
Just let him have it.
Yeah.
He's gonna tire himself out.
That's why we have the police, right?
Yeah, that's not my job.
Yeah.
I draw the line of tackling
boy.
nude dudes. Is that too far?
Josh is
Hey, I'm
gonna
with
stick
you on that.
around.
Josh isn't going anywhere. Josh isn't going anywhere
good,
this morning.
good.
Sorry, everybody. Is it too early for that kind of
No,
talk?
no, no.
You're waking us up. Oh my
No.
goodness.
The kids are out of school.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, we got to go. We'll be right back.